right, so I started to do this video about suburbs of Miami. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, yeah, but maybe the people will also like these Broward suburbs too. And then I got really knee deep into this presentation, which became much longer than what I expected. But I hope you find it helpful. Hey everyone, my name's Jamey Prezzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami-Dade and Broward. I work with my husband, Ognjen Prezzi, and our team. Today I'm going to talk to you about a few suburbs in Miami-Dade and why you may also like these Broward suburbs too. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another update. We do put out new videos every week. Also use the link in our information box and download our free relocation guide. All right, let's get started. Whenever people reach out to us and they're thinking about relocating here, I would say very often they're looking at Broward and Miami-Dade. And we work both counties because that's where a lot of people are looking at real estate. And also, we actually live and work in both counties every single day as well. So we're super familiar with both areas. And I just wanted to talk to you about some of the things that people come to us with, like, hey, I like Doral, but I also like Weston. Or, hey, I like Parkland, but I also like Pinecrest. And then, of course, everyone loves Coral Gables. So I'm going to go over a few reasons why people like these areas and a little bit about what you get for your money so that you can maybe kind of think about the comparisons between the neighborhoods. And, of course, we can always go over all of this at a buyer consultation. But the one thing to know is that when you're living and working in Miami-Dade or Broward, you have to be very careful about traffic and your commute and your daily life. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. But I wanted to point out here the highway system. So this area right here is about the area where the county line between Miami-Dade and Broward. So Broward is in this area and Miami-Dade is south. Down here is Homestead. I wasn't able to get the map all the way in that area. So there is a little bit, there's another area a little bit further down. However, we have this great highway system, 75. Now there's traffic. So don't say, oh, well, yeah, but you have a lot of traffic. We do have a lot of traffic, but we have a wonderful highway system, this 75, that 95. If you live anywhere on the East Coast, I'm sure you're probably using 95. A lot of people use that highway system. We also have the 836, which goes east and west. Now, look, I just want to point out, this is why a lot of people live in Doral, because look at all the highways around Doral. Or Parkland, look, because there's highway systems here. Or Weston, because there's highway systems here. The further you get over into this part of Miami-Dade, like let's say Miami Beach, now you're using a bridge to get off, to get onto 95. There's another bridge here too. Coral Gables and Pinecrest as well. 95 goes right into US 1. I hope you can follow my cursor here. It goes right into US 1. However, from Pinecrest, you can jump on the 826. And same thing with Coral Gables. Coral Gables is actually a little bit further into this area as well, depending on what part of Coral Gables you are in. A common misconception about moving to Miami is many people assume that they should only look in Miami-Dade County. For example, if you're being relocated here, a lot of times people will just say, oh, I just want to live in Doral because I have to work in Doral. Well, I don't know. Maybe your budget doesn't afford Doral. Maybe you need to look in Pembroke Pines or Coral Springs or somewhere else. So don't disregard Broward just because it's not in Miami-Dade. It's not that far away. And people go back and forth all the time. And you might find that what you can get in Broward is a bit more for your money. I always tell people one of the biggest things that people do wrong is they start searching for like the best neighborhood, where's the best area? There are a lot of different neighborhoods throughout Miami-Dade and Broward. And I would always say, what does your Tuesday look like? Because that's the day you're probably going grocery shopping. You need to test the neighborhood on a Tuesday, not a Saturday. If you're only here on the weekend, you really need to be here a little bit longer so that you can do that drive. I have a lot of people who will come and look at real estate during the week and they're like, wow, we had no idea the traffic was like that, because the traffic definitely changes over the weekend. Definitely look at real estate here during the week. And then you need to think, like, is the airport important to you? Where do you spend time? What's the hidden cost of driving everywhere? Can you actually deal with sitting in traffic? Can you pay for the gas, the express lane tolls, all of that? So these are the routines that a lot of people don't think about before they're relocating here. And there are 5 things that I think people should really pay a lot of attention to. Again, we cover this at a buyer consultation, but you really need to think about your life, your commute, your hobbies, airport access, your weekend versus weekday lifestyle. Think about the location. What does that area need to look like for you? The neighborhood, the parks, the shopping. Is Miami-Dade better? Broward's better for you? I don't know. Everyone has their preferences. Also, the cost, the monthly budget, the taxes, the insurance, HOA fees, utility, and maintenance. One thing that people don't always take into consideration is that our landscaping runs all year long. We don't have an off market for landscaping over the winter time where everything dies. Here, you're taking care of the lawn all year. Also, the pool's open all year. We don't just shut the pools down. They stay open all year. So there's a definitely a different cost involved with owning that type of property and where, in this area. Think about the house, the home style, new or resale, the size and layout and features that matter most, and also financing, down payment, monthly cost, loan options, and pre-approval process. These are the things you've got to think about before relocating here and actually even starting a search, because a lot of these may tailor a lot of your decisions. A lot of times we have buyers who can really afford a lot more than what they actually want to spend every month. So that's why we really need to kind of narrow down a lot of these details so that you can make a good decision and feel comfortable about relocating here and feel good about where you actually end up. Another thing is, if you are planning to come here and buy a condominium, that is a very different purchase than a single family home when it comes to financing. And also, if you're thinking about buying a townhome, is it a townhome or is it a townhome style property, but it's really a condominium? And that matters because for financing purposes, they will treat it like a condominium, which matters. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some things that people talk to me about. And I'm also going to go over a little bit of information about list to sale price and is it a buyer's market or seller's market? Because people always like to know that. And our neighborhoods can be wildly different. And I think I picked some really good neighborhoods to show that. So if newer neighborhoods are high on your list, a lot of times people will end up in Doral, because if you're searching by age of home, there are a lot of newer properties in Doral. But also, you can also find a lot of newer properties in Weston. Just Weston is in the northern part of Broward, and Doral is more central in Miami-Dade. Again, Weston, Doral, both located around highways, so that's really good. This is the area of Doral. It's very close to the airport. I would say one negative about Doral is it does have a lot of airport traffic over it. So you can definitely hear the planes if that's something that would bother you. That might not be an option. People always say they get used to it, but that's just something to know. And Doral originally was more like industrial kind of area. So there's a lot of warehouses and industry around Doral. And there are a lot of people who come into Doral throughout the week. But on the weekend, everything kind of quiets down. Doral is really great, though, because there are a lot of different types of properties. It's a bit more affordable than some other parts of Miami-Dade. The single-family home trends for Doral, I did not do condos or townhomes for this report because this is going to take forever if I do that. But it's in a balanced market. It's 95% sold to list price ratio. So if you're asking me, hey, Jamey, what kind of a discount are people getting on homes in Doral? From the sold to list price, this is what it is, 95.9%. And the median sold price is $900. Obviously, there are homes that sell for more and there are homes that sell for less. You can find a townhome in Doral for $650, $700, or actually even less, just depending on if it's a condominium or a townhome. But this is the median sold price for single family homes. Let's go to Weston. Weston also has a lot of newer style properties. This is the area of Weston, and it's also right off of highways. Doral and Weston have a lot of HOA style communities. So if you don't want to have an extra monthly fee because of that, that's something to really think about. Versus Doral being in a balanced market, Weston is in a seller's market with 4.71 months of inventory, 95.7 sold to list price, and the median sold price is a little more than Doral, which is $974,999. Now, if you'd like to live in a neighborhood where you have a little bit more mature trees, it's a little bit older neighborhood, has kind of that like Mediterranean revival feel, Coral Gables might be a good option for you. Now, Coral Gables is great because it's still very close to the city. If you need to get into the city every day, it's not too far from the airport. And if you see, it's, a little bit central. I mean, Doral is super central, but Coral Gables is not that bad of a location if you need to get around and do things during the day. And people are often pretty surprised to see, you see how close this is to the airport, but people are often surprised to see that Coral Gables covers throughout this area, especially along the coastline here as well. Coral Gables is a seller's market. 4.57 months of inventory, 94.6% sold to list, and the median sold price is 1.850. I would say in Coral Gables, there are a lot of properties that sell for a lot more than that. So just remember, this is the median sold price because Coral Gables is one of the super luxury areas in Miami-Dade. Now, let's say you want a home that has a larger lot or a larger home. Well, maybe you would like to consider Parkland. Parkland has homes that have very good square footage. There are some homes, obviously, that are on larger lots in Parkland, but I would say Pinecrest is known for large lots, like 10,000 square feet plus, which is fairly large in our area, because I would say in our area, a lot of the lots in Miami-Dade and Broward are around 6 to 8-ish thousand square feet. So when you start talking about 10,000 plus, then people really like that when they consider larger lots. This is Pinecrest. It's east, all east of Highway 1. This is Dadeland Mall. And this is Coral Gables. Pinecrest is in a balanced market leaning towards a buyer's market. 6.42 months of inventory. Now look at this. This is one of the lower sold to list price ratios, and that's because it's more in a balanced market. And the median sold price there is 2.675 for June 2026. Next, Parkland. Parkland has a lot of the HOA style communities as well. Parkland is in a seller's market, 3.72 months of inventory, 97% sold to list price ratio, and the median sold price is 1.250. All right, I know that was a lot of information, but I thought it might be interesting to share with you a little bit about, you know how sometimes people focus on newer neighborhoods. So maybe if you like Doral, maybe you also like Weston, or maybe if you want to live in an older style community that's more established, maybe Coral Gables. And maybe if you want more square footage, Parkland could be a good option, or Pinecrest could be a great option. So these are the things that we always talk about at a buyer consultation. I know that was a lot of information, but I hope you found it helpful. We are here to be a resource for you. My name is Jamey Prezzi. This is my husband, Ognjen Prezzi. You can find us online on Instagram at the Prezzis, and we'll see you soon.